I've had the lens for a week, so still new with it. Build quality amazing. Focus feel amazing. It's solidly built, all metal and like a piece of art almost. The photos are incredibly sharp. I attached a low-res version and 2 crops of the same shot. Extreme nose detail. Looking forward to many years of use. I paid no attention when this lens was first announced. For one, it's an oddball focal length, not a true macro, and at least in pictures somewhat big. I kept telling myself, it's not a 50mm or an 85mm, so what's the point? Then reviews started coming out and singing its praises. Being a Loxia guy, I wanted something that did better in the mid and corners at wider apertures than the Loxia 50mm, and I am a fan of Voigtlander's rendering, so I decided to give it a try. After a first few hundred shots, my initial impression is quite high and that it may be somewhat underpriced. For one, it is indeed sharp across the frame at any aperture. There really is no reason to stop the lens down unless doof is your thing, which for me it often is, as I do a lot of landscape. The bokeh is smoother than the Loxia 50mm, and the color and contrast is just fantastic. Oddly enough, the yellow cast tissue with Sony seems to rear its ugly head less so when I'm shooting with Voigtlander lenses. I assume it's because they tend to render on the cooler side. I expected fairly ideal handling and have not been disappointed either. The knurled focusing ring is pretty much perfect and low resistance. I've had no issue dialing in focus either right outside the minimum focusing distance or at infinity. While I'd give the Loxia a 7 out of 10 for the control and placement of the aperture ring, on the Voigtlander it'd seem more like 9.5. It's pretty much as good as it gets. Nail in the focus wide open, wiggle your hand slightly forward to adjust the aperture, take the shot. With the Loxia it's, nail focus wide open, jam your fingers to the back of the camera. Try to make out the aperture ring. Turn counterclockwise and hope you're not moving the focusing ring at the same time. 50 is a bit restrictive in the sense that it's not a 35mm. However, moving over to 65mm isn't as dramatic emo coming from 50mm. I haven't encountered any scenarios where I was cursing myself for not bringing the 50mm. I'd say you could easily ditch the 50mm FL for this instead, and can't imagine anyone having serious regrets. When I shoot them side by side, I just step back a tad, say about 2 steps. The 1 to 2 macro is quite handy. I'm not much of a macro guy, but I do like to get in close from time to time. The Loxia is a no-go for smaller objects. Not so with the 65mm. You can get mighty close to all but the smallest objects. Which perhaps is another reason why I've been passing on the 50 when I walk out the door and pick this up instead. Bokeh is more attractive at mid-apertures over the Loxia. Click link in description for more reviews.